What really happened behind the camera when Taehyung lost his cool on Jungkook? Why does one simple-sounding sentence actually trigger unexpected anger? Is this a sign of a crack that has been hidden from the army? The new facts that emerge will make you question everything you thought you knew about the relationship of the two. And unexpected that a moment that initially seemed like an ordinary interaction between two close friends, Taehyung and Jungkook, actually turned into one of the most shocking incidents that ever happened before the eyes of their team. The camera initially captured the two in a relaxed atmosphere, as if enjoying a light conversation on the sidelines of a busy schedule. However, in just a matter of seconds, Taehyung's facial expression changed drastically, from a calm smile to a piercing gaze that made the room feel frozen. The question is, what did Jungkook say that could make Taehyung lose his composure? Why is this moment as if deliberately ignored by the staff around? And most perplexing, why did Taehyung choose not to hide his frustration, even though he is known as a figure who is very careful about his image in front of the public? Some people who were at the location at that time claimed to feel the tension that suddenly appeared. In fact, a staffer who usually joked with the two chose to remain silent, as if understanding that this was not just an ordinary exchange of words. "It's not a joke, it's real," said one source who asked not to be identified. This sentence alone was enough to make armies around the world wonder, is their relationship at its lowest point? Based on the information circulating, Jungkook reportedly said something related to one of Taehyung's private moments that had been kept secret from the public. Not just an internal joke, but a sentence that carries great emotional weight. It wasn't about what he said, but when and where he said it, the source said. And therein lies the crux of the matter. The wrong time and place, at a time when Taehyung may be in an unstable mental state. Taehyung's reaction wasn't just a facial expression. He stopped abruptly, looked intently at Jungkook, and then threw a short but meaningful message that left everyone in the room speechless. "If you really cared, you wouldn't say it here." This sentence made the atmosphere freeze, and even Jungkook himself seemed to be silent for a few seconds, as if he had just realized the impact of his words. This moment was not captured in full on the official camera, but several pieces of the clip from the staff's mobile phones began to spread in a limited circle. In the video, it is clear how Taehyung is trying to control his emotions, sighing deeply while turning his face away. Jungkook, on the other hand, seemed agitated, playing with his fingers and occasionally glancing at Taehyung, as if he wanted to say something but hesitated. What exactly makes that sentence so infuriating? Is it because it touches on personal issues? Is it related to internal gossip that has been known only to their closest circle? Or is it precisely this part of a long-building tension, and Jungkook unknowingly triggers his outburst? What is clear, this incident not only shocked the army, but also sparked a heated discussion in the fan community. Some speculate that this is just a brief, exaggerated misunderstanding, while others believe it is the culmination of a larger problem. The fact that Taehyung, who is known to be very patient, came to such a reaction led many to believe that there was something more serious behind it. The biggest question now is, how is their relationship after this incident? Have they talked and forgiven each other? Or is the distance between them widening? HYBE has so far chosen not to give an official comment, which only reinforces speculation that something was deliberately hidden. And amid all those questions, one thing is certain. This moment has changed the way many people view the dynamic between Taehyung and Jungkook. The relationship that had seemed harmonious so far is now colored by a big question mark, and only time will tell if this is just a momentary storm, or the beginning of something much deeper. What makes everything even more confusing is the fact that this moment takes place in the middle of a situation that should be one of the warmest and most enjoyable points in their schedule. They had just finished a photo shoot that took place in a secret location, surrounded by a creative team that already knew their characters inside and out. Everyone thought that the atmosphere of the day would be full of laughter and jokes as usual, especially since Jungkook is known to often provoke Taehyung's smile with casual comments that sometimes sound silly but are full of warmth. However, it is precisely at this point that everything turns around. When one of the photographers asked them to take a more intimate pose together, just to capture V and Jungkook's chemistry. It was clear that Jungkook was saying something, too low for everyone to catch, but close enough for Taehyung to hear it clearly. Suddenly, Taehyung's face changed. His gaze no longer emitted a friendly light, but rather a piercing glare, as if he had just been attacked at the most vulnerable point within himself. Those who were there described the moment as deafening silence. There were no shouts, no harsh words coming out of Taehyung's mouth, but the energy in the room was suddenly heavy. Even the background music that usually continues to play is stopped by one of the staff, perhaps reflexively, perhaps also because he feels that the atmosphere is no longer safe for jokes. Then, the sentence that came out of Taehyung's mouth, short, measured, but full of wounds, became the center of all discussion. If you really cared, you wouldn't say it here. That sentence sounds like the culmination of a series of events that we don't see. A reaction that is born not just from one spontaneous comment, but from a pile of emotions that have not been buried for how long. The question is, what comment did Jungkook make? Several sources close to the team said it was related to Taehyung's personal life, something that even ARMY hardliners never dared to speculate too far. There are also those who believe that Jungkook may be unknowingly talking about a topic that's been weighing heavily on Taehyung's mind lately, whether it's about his family, a project he's been working on secretly, or even their professional relationship that may be being tested by schedules and industry pressures. The reaction after that was even more mysterious. Jungkook is seen trying to get closer, as if to explain or apologize, but Taehyung raises his hand, giving a brief gesture that clearly means enough. There was no more intense interaction between them for the rest of the shoot. Every time the camera is pointed at the two, they remain professional, smiling, posing, but anyone watching closely will notice a subtle distance that never existed before. One of the photographers who later leaked this detail said that the moment made everyone cautious about interacting. We do not know what really happened, but it was not a joke, wrong timing. There was a weight in Taehyung's gaze that made us all understand that this was something big. Even stranger, after the session was over, Jungkook immediately left the location with his manager without saying much. Taehyung, on the other hand, chose to remain on site, conversing briefly with some of the staff, but with a still tense look on his face. There was no warm farewell, as usual. No high fives, no mutual understanding gazes. This is where the speculation starts to heat up. Some say that this is just part of a brother-sister relationship that is sometimes colored by differences of opinion. However, some are sure that this is the first sign of a rift that has been tightly hidden. The fact that HYBE did not issue an official statement actually made curiosity even more aroused. Usually, if there is an internal issue that sticks out, the agency will immediately provide light clarification to ease speculation. But this time it was quiet. None of the official parties spoke. In fact, when some fans ventured to comment on their interactions on social media platforms, the posts often disappeared or were flooded with comments asking for the discussion to be stopped. Does this mean that anyone wants to protect the two from bigger rumors? Or is there someone who deliberately keeps the secret from being revealed? Meanwhile, the ARMY split into two camps. The first camp tries to calm the atmosphere, believing that this is just a misunderstanding magnified by a bad mood. The second camp, on the contrary, began to dig into every detail of Taehyung and Jungkook's interactions in the past, looking for clues as to whether this tension had been seen from a long time ago. And the deeper they search, the more the signs begin to show a slightly different set of eyes at a live streaming event, the odd pause between their conversations backstage, or even that little moment where one of them seems to be dodging. Is this all a coincidence? Or the puzzle pieces of a bigger story that has yet to be fully revealed? However, this story apparently did not stop on that day alone. Days after the incident, the public spotlight began to shift to their interaction at a previously planned live event to casually greet ARMY. The event was supposed to be a warm moment where the two had a light conversation, shared behind-the-scenes stories, and maybe teased each other a little, like they usually do. Some longtime fans immediately recalled the early days of BTS, when the two were known to be very close. They call each other by special nicknames, protect each other, and often look like inseparable brothers. Even in the difficult times of debut, the two relied on each other. Why is there such a distance now? Is one sentence really capable of changing a relationship that has been established for years? There is a bolder speculation that this tension may be related to their differing views on an important BTS project in the future. Some sources claim that the two had different ideas about the direction the music would take, and that tension indirectly leaked into their personal interactions. If true, this is not only a personal matter, but also a professional one, which will certainly have a major impact on the group as a whole. However, not everyone agrees with this theory. There are also those who believe that this issue is purely personal, something that only the two of them will understand. An insider who claimed to have worked with BTS said that the relationship between the members is often more complex than it seems on screen. They can laugh together in front of the camera, but behind it, they are ordinary people with emotions that are sometimes difficult to control, he said. After the incident, Taehyung and Jungkook's social media accounts showed different activity patterns. Jungkook seems to be more active in uploading photos and videos of vocal exercises, while Taehyung shares aesthetic photos or portraits of himself alone. No more shared uploads, no more interaction replying to comments like before. This change may seem trivial to outsiders, but for the ARMY, which is always attentive to detail, this is a sign that is difficult to ignore. In the midst of all this, HYB still chose silence. In fact, when journalists tried to subtly ask in an official interview about their relationship, the question was immediately redirected to another topic by the moderator. This action only adds to the impression that something is indeed being hidden. The question now is this just a momentary storm that will subside quickly, or is it precisely the beginning of a major change in their relationship? Will Taehyung and Jungkook choose to talk about this openly to ARMY, or will they leave it buried behind the stage, just to be a story circulating in the closest circles? While the public keeps guessing, one thing is certain. The moment when Taehyung lost his cool on Jungkook has left a mark that won't be easily forgotten. Not only for the two of them, but also for the millions of fans who all this time believed that their relationship was unshakable. The first wave of reaction came from the international ARMY community. On Twitter, Instagram, to platforms like Weverse, hundreds of thousands of posts began talking about Taehyung and Jungkook's changing attitudes. Hashtags such as hashtag what happened to Taekook, hashtag JCanV, and hashtag is this the end suddenly dominated trending topics in various countries. Videos allegedly recording chilling moments at their live events were shared over and over again, analyzed frame by fans trying to find hidden clues. In fact, several large fanbase YouTube channels began releasing lengthy analysis videos, comparing their interactions before and after the incident. One showed a snippet of an old video in which Jungkook and Taehyung joked while holding each other's shoulders, then compared it to the most recent moment full of distance. Look how their bodies are no longer leaning against each other, one commenter said in the video, which has now been viewed millions of times. However, behind this furor, there were also voices that tried to drown out. They are ordinary people. Maybe Taehyung is tired or has a lot on his mind, wrote one fan on Weverse. But the comment was instead flooded with replies from other users who felt something bigger was going on. If it's just tired, why is his expression like that? Why is there no clarification? Replied an ARMY who claimed to have followed their journey since their debut. Interestingly, shortly after the rumors began to spread, an old Jungkook post on social media went viral again. The caption reads, "Be careful with words, they can stay longer than you think." Not a few interpret this as a veiled message, perhaps even directed at Taehyung